Hello, welcome. We're here to talk about Silo. We did this last week. We're going to do it again. Maybe we'll do it the whole season. We'll see how it goes. I got a couple guests here with me. I'm Pete Peppers. You should know that if you're here, I guess. Third episode was I feel like Juliette's coming back, and that's good as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna let my two guests here introduce themselves and tell us what they thought about this week's episode, and then we're gonna get into it and break everything down. So why don't we start with you, Gab?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me on. Super excited to talk this episode of Silo with you. I'm Miscellaneous Gab. I cover a lot of Apple TV shows on my channel, but also HBO shows, movies, all the fun stuff. And in terms of how I thought about this episode, it was definitely my favorite of the first three. I feel like it set up a lot of the questions that we need answered. I really liked the themes that they were dealing with this season. And I like the different character motivations coming through. I still don't know how exactly I feel about the before times, but we'll see. I still have hope, but overall really liked this episode, and it's good to have Juliette back.
Totally agree on that front. How about you, Cris?
Hi, everyone. I'm Cris. You can find me on TikTok, Cris Cinema with no H, CRIS Cinema. I do a lot of TV recaps, so I always try to have a weekly show I'm covering. So right now it is Silo. I'm also talking about House of the Dragon, but I'm always doing film, TV, award season, reviews, analysis, recaps, all the stuff. I really, really liked this episode. I think Camille is becoming a really compelling character to me. And I think for a while on the show, it felt like, no offense to any of the actors, but it felt like Rebecca Ferguson was like really, really carrying it. And I feel like Camille is becoming almost as compelling to me as Juliette. And I think that is strengthening the show as a whole. And I thought we got into some really interesting thematic stuff that kind of reminded me of, Pluribus in terms of talking about, your identity and whether your own identity and memory is more important than the good of the silo and the good of everyone. So I thought this got a little deeper philosophically. We had some exciting action moments, everything in the mines, getting a beloved character back. So I really enjoyed it personally.
Definitely philosophical. I kind of joked in my video that it was like Camille was showing up for her job at the trolley problem factory, because It's just like, this is like one after the other, It's like, how about this? How about, would you kill this person for this amount of people? Would you do it for this reason? Like it was fun because it built to that, it wasn't just like, it wasn't like a gotcha. It was a, last week, a lot of the stuff we were talking about in the stream was they addressed it pretty directly. Some of the questions we had, and that's always satisfying. And I was there for that. I think I want to hit on something you said there, and you said that you weren't sure. You guys said you weren't, like, Gab, you said you weren't sure about how you feel about the before times. Is there anything you want to throw out in the beginning before we go in?
Yeah, it might be. I mean, I know that important answers await us, so I'm hooked on that because I know it will lead to things that we need to know. But I think right now, maybe it's the characters, maybe it's the pacing. I feel like every scene we get in the before times is really short. Like, it's like a minute here, a minute there, and then we're splicing back and forth. So I think all of that combined is making me like, I'm way more invested in what's going on in Silo 18. And it might also be because we've had more time with all these characters. So I'm definitely giving it the benefit of the doubt. But I think it's just, I don't know if it's the way it's moving or the pacing or the characters or like a combination of everything that isn't, I'm not bored during those scenes, but I'm maybe a little more bored than I am in the Silo scenes.
Yeah, this is the question I had. This is the thing that was I couldn't really put it. I really couldn't put my finger on it the first time I watched it, but on some level, it should feel like we're watching two different shows, right? Because there are two different eras, there are two different realities, really. Like whatever happens in the before times changes things so much that it becomes the silo. Like that there should be a chasm between things. But I guess just sort of as a TV, looking at it as like TV, how things look on it, within the episode, visually, there seems to be a disconnect. Like, I don't know what, like, I guess because the silo is all built sets, you know what I mean? It's all self-contained. It's very lived in. The outside world feels kind of generic in comparison. And even if you look at other shows that are on, like that we cover that are in the same time period, there's a little bit of something that isn't working for me there visually. And everyone I've asked about it, they were just sort of like, I don't know, it looks fine to me. You know what I mean? I don't know what you're talking about. So I was just wondering has that crossed your minds at all?
Not so much the visuals, though. I think when you point it out, I can see what you mean, and that there's not so much of a coherent theme going on. But I feel like I do like how bright the present time is compared to the silo, and maybe that's intentional at least, because I would kind of hate if they had the present day be very like gray toned or have that almost sepia tint. I do like that it's pretty distinct. I think it honestly gives us a break from how dark the silo can be, like literally for our eyes to watch sometimes. But I agree with you. I think this was the weakest for the present, or our present past timeline. This week felt like they needed to just kind of like put in a few scenes to keep them in there, but this was going to be a Silo 18 focused episode. So it felt just a little bit more shoehorned in. I don't mind that. I mean, I do think more of the show in this season probably will be a little bit more towards Silo 18 versus 50-50, but it is making the past timeline take a little bit longer to get where we want to go. Like at the end of the day, like what did we really find out? It's really just there's a tape. We didn't get to hear what was on the tape. And that's kind of it. Like we know that they're after them. We saw that same old man that was following Charlotte follow Helen, and they're obviously onto them. So it's kind of like you can really sum it up in a few sentences.
Yeah, I'll give you a second to talk about that too, Gab. But I want to just say that, like, yeah, I did find it really frustrating that I think it was really just about showing that they have some chemistry, right? And like you said, that they have a threat that we imagine is there. So it's not a surprise to us that guy's following them around. That was established right from the beginning. So it did feel like it was just about saying, hey, these are our new characters. What do you think about them? Kind of cute together, aren't they? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it wasn't very intense, except for, where it had to be. Yeah. Sorry, Gab, go ahead.
No, I mean, I said this in my review, but the silo felt extra dark in this episode. Like I felt like I was watching Game of Thrones season 8 again. I think I told you that, Pete. I was editing my footage back. I'm like, oh my God, it's so dark. I agree. I'm glad it's not drab, the present. I have the feeling like based on kind of the cars and the tech, it's near future. Like it's not, it's where we are. It's adjacent to where we are, but I have the feeling it's supposed to be like slightly ahead of where we are, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years. So it'd be cool if it felt maybe a little brighter, a little more techy. But I found myself asking questions in the before times and questions where I'm like, is this a point of weak writing, or is this really just part of the mystery? So I feel like there's still a lack of trust I have with the before times. Like for me personally, the comms thing, like this source that wants to use this old school technology and now it's recorded. It felt like awfully convenient for me. And then I think in terms of the characters, I do think that the actors themselves and the characters have great chemistry, but Daniel feels so dumb to me with his badge, with all of that, that it's like, is this just a couple things that need to lead to another so we understand where we got to where we're going? Or is like him being dumb part of his character? So it's like I can't quite figure that out yet, which takes me out of those scenes a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough, you know what I mean? It's tough to introduce another show in the middle of your show, right? Like the connections are supposed to be a mystery, so they really can't. There's no easy transition, and it's a lot of work. I think that they're doing an okay job with it. We'll have to wait and see how things develop, but at least from the baseline of the characters, I do think they're pretty good. I'm starting to, feel like I know who they are and what they might do in situations. And I think that you both kind of touched on it one way or another. I feel like the thing that they really bring to the table, the whole other timeline brings to the table, is what you're saying, is that inside the silo is kind of bleak. It's kind of dark. It brings in like just some balance to where you can kind of get out of the silo brain of like everything is being controlled all the time and like what's really going on here. So I don't think there was anything that was like red flags for me here, but there wasn't that much payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this week just felt like almost a transition episode for the past storyline. Like it seems like maybe they're saving things to line up with certain storylines in Silo 18, so they had to kind of take a week where there wasn't too much going on. So I'm excited to see some other characters back. Like I've been wanting to see like Laura Inez back, who's playing Thurman. Like I just think she's going to be a really cool character. So it just seems like they're kind of making us wait a little bit.
Yeah, did you see the thumbnail for next episode? I think she is in that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I feel like I know the title of this episode being like a dark web was a little bit on the nose, but I like the parallels between the two the two storylines. Like I feel like that is really unique, because to me, when Helen and Daniel are literally going on the dark web to find this, they're also entering a dark web, like a multi-layer situation of lies and secrets. And I feel like that's happening in the silo to a certain extent as well. Like you have the web of tunnels and mines. There's secrets, like we don't know what Orla Kent is involved in or was involved in. So yeah, I like that parallel, even though we didn't get as much in the before times.
Let's talk about we can come back to that maybe if we need to, but let's talk a little bit about Camille. I was trying to look because I knew that the guy, I think his name was Steve, the the hacker guy, was he scanned Daniel's badge, so I was just looking to see if there was dates or anything in that file, but I didn't see anything when I just looked at it. But yeah, let's talk about Camille a little bit here. She is okay, so we found out why she is the new head of IT, and that is because this job requires deception. And she had proved herself to be someone who had the capability to lie. I guess I don't really want to jump to the end, but at the same time, like, this is a question we have, right? Can she lie to the algorithm then? Is that what they're setting up, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Even at the end there, I think at first I did take her at face value, but then thinking about it, right, it's like maybe she did intentionally quicken her breathing or do those kind of physical things that would indicate that you're lying to trick the algorithm. So unclear to me whether she's already done it or if that's going to lead to a bigger payoff later. Obviously she admires Juliette, but I don't know if at this point she would still be lying to the algorithm to protect her. Like, I'm not sure how endeared to her and attached to her she is really at this point in the story. You know, I think admiration only goes so far when your family's memories are all at stake.
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of her point, right? Was that she wanted to find out, she wanted to see what she would find out. Now Camille's in a position where she could just find out herself. She doesn't really need Juliette for that anymore.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, like, for me, I don't think she was intentional. Like, I don't think she was intentionally doing anything to like her breath or anything in that moment. But I think the algorithm gave her a compliment, like, you're a good liar. Maybe she didn't know that about herself before because she thought she was chosen because of her Raider training. So I think she's like, oh, okay, I'm a good liar, but the algorithm can kind of see when I lie. So I need to be a lot more smooth if I'm gonna play this well. So I think it was more like data collection for her of like, this is my skill. Maybe I can tap into it a little bit more and actually learn how to trick it. So I don't think she's lied to the algorithm yet, but I think it's setting up that she could potentially be doing one thing and actually saying another.
Yeah, one of the frustrations I had with Camille in previous seasons was that they just didn't really develop her that much. You know, she showed up in certain situations and you were supposed to have feelings about her, but I wasn't sure what mine were or what she was up to or trying to do. I feel like they sort of gave me something that makes sense here, that if for nothing else, they want their son to survive, because eventually somebody's going to get out of this silo and live outside. And if it's not them, then that's the thing that really is motivating them, his survival, his continuing, because maybe they've reserved themselves to the fact that they live. I mean, Sims was the head of security. He was injudicial. He knew just how rigged everything was against everyone that lived there. Right. So, it kind of makes sense, right? They might not be able to undermine the system themselves, but at least they can try to give Anthony a better shot at doing something like that in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if we're talking, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna bring it back to her and Sims conversation earlier, because I thought that was just interesting in terms of, she's obviously, you know, questioning whether or not it's worth, you know, taking away their memories, and they're obviously on like opposite sides of that, but she is going back and forth the whole episode. And it's interesting because I think they each think that they've maybe convinced the other. Like, I think he kind of, you know, she's like, promise me that, you know, you're going to do anything to make sure our son gets out. But I have this sense that when push comes to shove, if they do have to put the vitamin D in the water, that he might not go through with it. Like, I think he believes in what she wants and like the long-term vision, but I think he's always been a lot more sentimental than her. And I think at that point, you're not sure if she is going to put their memories first, because she is okay with putting the vitamin D in the water. But obviously then when opportunity presents herself, she's like, yeah, like maybe the memories do matter. And I'm done going through all these tunnels to, you know, get around that.
I think it's interesting that she has an illusion of choice, because it really is like you either save your silo from destruction or you destroy your silo and kill everyone. So it's like, I think homegirl like has just been so stressed trying to figure things out. And then she took a beat with her husband. And I don't know, maybe she's saying all that to her husband because she knows their son is like the motivating factor and the thing they have in common, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, I don't think Robert can really feel the weight that she has on her shoulders. So she's like, all right, that's like my day job. Let's focus on our kid here. But I liked seeing her dynamic with the algorithm of her trying to like plead her case as to why they shouldn't put the drugs in the water.
Yeah, it was funny because when you were talking a second ago, Cris, I was thinking about like, if you were Robert in this situation, like you understand how the vitamin D plus works and how they'll implement this. Would you be going and trying to stockpile water and sort of put, you know what I mean? Like get a contingency plan, because if you never drink the water, you'll never lose your memories, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're put into a situation where, you know, everything is for his family, and that's why he would want to prevent the vitamin D from going into the water. But then he really risks his marriage were he to do something drastic and somehow, you know, destroy the vitamin D source or something. So they're really just put into these tough situations where it seems like there's not really a win-win, right? It's always a win-lose.
Yeah, it's the lesser of two evils, and there's no, you know what I mean? There's no good choices being presented to anyone here. It does. I feel like there is a really interesting dynamic between Robert and Camille in this situation because of the fact that he is used to being the one who's got all the secrets, who's pulling the strings, who's making stuff happen. And now he's being kept in the dark, and that's got to suck. You know what I mean? Like that's got to be a big, like really difficult as a human being to just be like, okay, yeah, I'm not really important anymore, but you know, I'll take the kid to school.
Yeah. I imagine he's having some like stay-at-home dad ego type of dilemma here, but I also like, did Camille make a mistake by telling him about the water? Because clearly this has been, at least for a couple of days, she's been going back and forth on that with the algorithm on this, and the algorithm did want Robert and their kid out of the vault when he spoke with Camille's. And we know the algorithm has been very choosy about who they talk to and like what they reveal to them and not wanting them to spread that information. So I'm curious on how this might come back to bite her, because I have a feeling she's not supposed to tell anybody about this plan.
Yeah, no, I think that it's weird, you know, because we don't know what the algorithm is. For one thing, like we don't really have I was thinking about this because I was reading some of the comments on my video, and someone brought up Silo 17 and just Solo being stuck inside IT for so long, and like where was his algorithm at, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
That was a question I had. Sorry, not to totally change the subject, but thinking of Silo 17, because they said that silo to silo contact would lead to an immediate safeguard event. So I guess in that case, they don't think that there were any survivors at all in 18, because if they know that Juliette went into 18, 17. And she came back, from 18 to 17 and then back, then they should have safeguarded it. But maybe they do think that everyone is dead in that silo, and then maybe that's an opportunity later, right? Like if, I don't know, maybe that somehow Solo can come save the day, because them not knowing that there's anyone there will come in handy at some point in the story.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm trying to piece it together in my mind how it played out. Juliette returned with information, but shared it with no one.
Yeah,
that's correct, right? Like nobody knows, because she was in the hospital or whatever after the 3 minutes of fire or whatever, and then they instantly just made her forget. It doesn't seem like there was any debriefing, because who would even have been able to do that in that situation? It would have been Camille, and she doesn't seem to know. So
yeah. But I guess that tells us that the AI or whatever it is doesn't really know everything. Like I was wondering how much they know or how much they're monitoring, whoever whoever, whatever this AI is, right? Like, do they have access to other silos? And then how much are they seeing within the silo itself? Or are they really dependent on Camille to bring information to them? Like, those are questions that I have, because you would think that, I don't know, like you would think if it's some control center, they would have more information on like all of the other silos. But I guess if there's no cameras in 18, how would you know? I don't know. I mean,
these are all good questions. Yeah, these are all good questions. I can't really weigh in on any of them because of being a book reader, but yeah. I don't know if you have anything on that, Gab.
Yeah, I go back to like Silo's parents figured out how to cap the gas thing. So maybe they learned how to do other things, like how to shut off the algorithm. And I think doesn't like IT or something have its own power source that might be different from the silo in case there is an uprising and they bust the generator. And I imagine if like things aren't connected to the mainframe or the database, IT is still IT. Like they know how to hack, they know how the camera system works. They know there are cameras in the mirrors and where the cameras are. So I don't know. That's my thing. It's just that's what I go back to is like Solo's parents were really smart and they figured it out. And even though the algorithm that's plugged into Silo 18 knows Juliette left and maybe guessed she like hung out and survived in the empty silo that is Silo 17, they just still think everybody is completely dead.
Yeah, I think that what we do know from the show is that it's very little really. Everyone there eventually died, right? So and a lot of them are outside. A lot of the bodies are outside. So yeah, it's sort of like, well, they did what Silo said was his parents figured out how to stop the safeguard. Yeah. And we sort of saw the riot getting to the point where the safeguard might be enacted. But other than that, it's like it's still pretty much not explained, correct?
Like yeah, or like or the algorithm, whoever is the algorithm controlling the algorithm did initiate the safeguard. And like if you try to pump poison gas into a silo, you can still press the button and there's a cap on the tube. You might think that you did it and everyone is dead. Nobody's alive. So they're like, okay, well, I guess we were successful in this. And yeah. I do think like them knowing that will be the day saver.
It sounds a little convenient when you say it out loud, but I guess it does work. The other thing you said was that it had its own power source, and that's something that they established because when they turned off the generator to scare everyone, IT still had power. So they do have. I think Bernard said something to this extent to Lucas in the past too about how they have it. Their power comes from outside. So no signs of Silo 17 at all. I know. Yeah, like, do you guys think that they're going to be instrumental to any of the stuff that's happening right at this moment in Silo 18?
I mean, maybe it depends how far Lucas was able to get if he was in fact mining horizontally and was able to make any contact. But I don't know. I mean, I could see them just, I mean, I don't know how cinematic the show will get, but I could just see them like popping in at just some crucial moment where there's an uprising, Juliette needs saving, and Solo like runs in.
Solo, where did you come from? We've been digging since you left.
I don't know if the tunnel digging will work, right? Because like, isn't half of the Silo 17 flooded? So
you were thinking about the exact same thing I was just thinking about. Like it was full of water, right?
Yeah. I mean, Juliette dove 2 times in all of that water and got the bends. So I think it would have to be, and like, you know, we get the idea from last season that Solo is a recluse. So maybe he really, really, really misses Juliette, or Eater comes in or something. I hope it's not the last we see of them. But I hope it's not like, what is it, like a Deus Ex Machina where they just show up really conveniently and like everything is fine from that.
Just to make sure, because like I said, a lot of times I get things a little bit confused from the books, and that is where we left things, that there's water in Silo 17. So if Luke is, okay, here's something you guys might have. Where are the mines? Were you guys paying attention to like where they were at in the silo, like level wise?
Are they in the mids?
It's not, I don't think they're in the mids, but they're definitely above like
the digger void.
Where everything's above the digger void, but even above mechanical, and like you would think the mines would be at the absolute bottom, but it seemed like Paul was going up. You know what I mean? Like if you think about how that all played out, I don't think it's the mids, but I think it's towards the mids from mechanical.
Like lower mids, upper, lower.
Something like, yeah.
So Matt Winbury just said below the gap, like below where they blew the stairs, right? Is that the gap?
Yeah. She definitely did the, the slide down the rope thing. That was a lot of fun to watch. But like, so I think that I thought that was interesting that they were not 100% at the bottom of everything.
Oh. So maybe you could get to I don't know how you'd get into the entrance of it, but then maybe you could get to a non-flooded part of
that's
18
what I was,
if you're in the middle. Yeah, okay, that's a good.
Also, they've been doing this for 352 years. They can't. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's just sort of a thing that they have to deal with because they introduced the mines, and the mines are a part of the story. They can't dig out. You know what I mean? So they have to keep doing these really elaborate, going up and down kind of tunnels and shafts. So it's definitely possible that they could connect them that way. Is that what you guys thought when you heard that Lucas was in the mines, that he might be doing that? I mean, Camille says it, but before that, did that cross your mind?
Kind of, but I feel like Lucas Kyle is really smart and really nerdy and really good at one thing. We know he's not a good miner. So I just feel like there has to be another group involved here. There has to be, like, we know the outsiders have been hunting Kyle. I just feel like there's another faction of people involved. Maybe the missing supplies, Orla Kent, it's all connected to it. So I didn't think like Lucas Kyle is there alone as a solo agent, like with a pickaxe, like trying to get through. So it would have to be a group, or he's just been hiding out. I don't know. Like I love Lucas. I'm so glad he's back, but I don't think he's just spelunking on his own, like doing all of this by himself.
Yeah. Like I don't. Go ahead, Cris.
Oh, sorry. I didn't want to change the topic, but I was going to say that there's still that door at the bottom, right? And I assume that is really the thing that connects. So at the end of the day, I don't really know why you would even bother digging, now that I'm thinking about it, if there's like literally this door at the bottom that you could go through. But I guess the algorithm stops you if you try. I mean, we don't really know everything that happened down there. I mean, he could really tell us a lot next week.
Yeah, I think it's 3 months is a long time. That's the part that's hanging me up a little bit, because at first I thought he was just hiding out. You know what I mean? Like he was just trying to figure out something, because the last time we saw him, he was basically dazed and just sort of lost his reason to go on. So I thought maybe he was just hanging out in the mines doing a little soul searching, trying to figure out what his next steps were or whatever. But when she mentioned the mining horizontally, that kind of makes sense because he knows there are he's one of the few people who knows there's other silos out there.
I would like to know if they have, because maybe I wasn't paying good enough attention to earlier seasons, but as of episode 1, there are dogs in the mine. Like there are pets and dogs, which is crazy to me. So why don't we have like scent dogs as part of the police force? Like why aren't we sniffing for Lucas Kyle or like training them to do things?
Yeah, I thought that was a weird choice to have dogs because in the books, like dogs are kind of considered. Dogs are like they take up more resources, and like having pets is not something that they do because, you know what I mean? It's just sort of like, that's something else you have to feed whenever you have like a self-contained thing. And dogs are specifically their food that's the thing that happens because one of the kid characters gets a puppy and kind of, experiences that, like having a pet, the love of having a pet, which is not something that people in the silo do really. But so I don't know what's going on with the dog, but that is an interesting question. Like it's cool, you know what I mean? Like if I was stuck in a silo, I would definitely want to have a dog
Same.
to hang out with. But like in the books, it's definitely not something that they do just because everything is sort of figured out and planned out to last for as long as it's going to last.
Like dogs as pets just don't make sense to me because if one person isn't getting their dog spayed or neutered, like that is just a catastrophe. And what happens when the dogs drink the water? Like, are they going to forget everything too? I don't know. I could go on about the dogs, but I was just really surprised to see the boyfriend just like throwing a ball for the dog.
I'm dying. They can't sit or roll over anymore.
They start meowing or something.
I could see like maybe a department, like maybe that's not his dog. Maybe that's like supplies dog or something like that. You know what I mean? Like something that just happened that way. You said that you thought that you brought up the idea, is Orla connected to what Lucas was doing down there? I want to hear some more about what you guys think about that, because for me, like, I thought Orla was dead. I thought that Orla was, what she was doing was related to what was happening at Critical Supply. I connected that with the guy from the mines probably being involved with that because his daughter was the shadow before Orla was the supply shadow. He had beef with her for that. It all seemed like all of that was connected and then not connected to whatever else was going on. Like she had her own little thing that she was dealing with, but her body was recovered in the mines after this brat bomb. So what were you thinking about all that stuff?
I'm not sure yet. Obviously, there's so much we don't know. I almost wonder if there's something with the miners, and I don't know is it possible that they know more than the average person in the silo because of where they're situated, and are they protecting some type of information, and that's why they're somehow getting rid of people who get too close or see something that they're doing. Like, I don't know if they are the ones that were stealing from Critical Supply. To what end, I'm not sure, but maybe they know more than everybody else thinks, whether it's about the existence of the other silos or, I mean, I don't know what else they would know. So I don't know, maybe someone's discovered something and they have their own plans, but they've kept it hush hush. That's all I got. I think there's so much we don't know, but
there really
something strange is going on.
Yeah, this is kind of a cool comment from Nikki M here. I didn't think about that, but now that you mention it, it makes total sense. My question is just who, because I know the outsiders are this rebellious force, but I feel like because we know the people leading the outsiders, I'm not afraid of them. Like, I don't think they would murder an innocent girl. Like, I want to know who in the silo is like murdering someone because maybe they got too close to the truth. But all we know from Orla Kent is that she's excited about her position. She's very curious about the missing supplies. She has a boyfriend in common with the previous shadow, and she felt kind of rejuvenated by Juliette's presence. So I wonder if she was like, "All right, I'm going to pull a Juliette and go like be a badass and pop around and investigate things," and then that didn't work out for her too well. So I feel like there's another like more menacing group down there doing things in the mines. And maybe she wandered down there to get some answers and gotten an altercation with the mining guy or his daughter.
Yeah, I think that I think that makes a lot of sense. I think there is another, they're introducing us to another group of people doing something, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's just for profit. They're just stealing from critical supply to make a little extra money, or if it goes deeper than that. But that seems to be what she was on to. And that's what, kind of like Billings is what kind of had that, he was kind of like stuck in the middle, stuck between his wife's choice to become an outsider and his, he's losing his faith because of the pact. He's rewriting the pact that he dedicated his life to. Mm-hmm. And, it seems like that's what he'll be doing for the rest of the season, or at least the near future, right? He's going to be looking into what happened to Orla. But yeah, as the comment that I put up here, that's what I thought. I thought the people who killed Orla just dumped her body in the rat attack, or in the rat bomb things, to make it look like she died a different way. Like, that should be pretty easy to disprove. I mean, they have doctors, so they would be able to see that she didn't die from poison, unless they poisoned her with rat poison, which would be which would have been a really, really good forethought on their parts. But yeah, so I think that will probably be like one of the next clues that there's something else afoot, right?
Yeah. What did you guys think about the guy who attacked Juliette in the mines too? I took that as being like very intentional. I thought like he recognized her, and I don't know. I believe the miners have some vendetta. I don't know what's going on, but I thought he recognized her, and so it was like a very specific attack against her as the mayor. And then it only occurred to me afterwards that maybe it was just someone being selfish, right? Like, give me the gas mask so I can live. I don't want to share the gas mask with you. I don't know why the vendetta was my first instinct over just the very obvious survival reasoning. But
in your initial assessment, did it involve him hiding and pretending to be dying in the mine, or it was just a complete opportunity presented itself kind of situation?
No, yeah, I thought opportunity presented itself. Like, I thought it was genuine, and then he saw her face and maybe was like, "Oh, you're not supposed to be here," or something, and like wanted to leave her for dead.
I mean, I think that I was kind of joking around, I was kind of poking fun at it, but like, I thought it was a little bit out of place, like I was like, wow, that came out of nowhere, sort of, you know what I mean? And so my interpretation was that, yeah, it was just showing that like he was being selfish, and they needed her to be stuck there, like plot wise, the plot needed her to be stuck there so that Lucas could find her. But like, I think that's an interesting idea, that there could be, because like the mines, we don't know much about the mines. I thought that like a lot of people were dying in there, and then whenever like this would come back on Camille, like this would be like an atrocity that she'd have to answer for. And then at the end, it seemed like maybe that Orla was the only body that they found in there. How did you guys interpret that?
Yeah, I mean, you were the one in your in your assessment, Pete, that clocked that the algorithm's voice or the number, the tally went down by 1. I didn't catch that at all. So all credit to you there. But I assume like if it went down by from 9,913 to 9,912, that 1 left. But I thought that was going to be a major moment for Camille, where if people needlessly die and they have a reason to blame the government, like that seems like a whole big shitstorm. My theory on the mines is like it's a whole other world, like different kind of economy, crime, like all sorts of things going on down there. So I don't know, maybe there isn't even an accurate count of who's down there and what they're doing.
That's interesting. That could actually be important since Lucas was hiding out in there, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think someone was trying to put
okay.
some book spoilers in the chat. So
No book spoilers, guys.
No.
Don't spoil me, please.
Yeah, me and Gab have not read them. I feel like that was a deliberate choice because sometimes once I do read a book, it does affect my viewing of what I'm watching. And sometimes I just want to do my journey all one way and then go the other way rather than watching half the show having not read the book and then half the show having read the book.
I agree.
I just want to just finish out the journey so I can theorize.
Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed reading the book, and I'm not sad that I did, but I am a little jealous that you guys can speculate in a way that I cannot. You know what I mean? Like I feel a little left out on that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it just depends. It's like when we read the book, then it's not going to have the same magic as when you read the book because that was your first time experiencing the plot, right? So you just kind of choose one way to have that first time, I guess.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, I think that if you have the choice, I think reading after is probably superior. You know what I mean? Because then you can have the book is always going to be better, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like different, but I just like reading books more, I guess. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I have a richer experience generally if a book is really good. Whereas like I'm being entertained by television, and that's important. And I like that. And that's, I like that also, but it's two different things, and you know what you're looking for when you go into it. Right. So I think that if you're going to do it, it kind of makes sense to save the book for after the fact, because then you get to enjoy both as pure as you can, because like seeing the show is not really going to take away from the book too much. I don't think. Yeah,
I agree. I'm glad I read the A Song of Ice and Fire books after I watched the Game of Thrones series, because it added like extra layers of richness and depth to the characters in the world. But if I had, like, I read all the Harry Potter books before the movie. So most of the time during the movies, I was just pissed off because of what they left out, who they left out, what they changed, what they did differently. So yeah, I agree. I think it's like if you watch the show, you get the experience, you get the visuals in your head. But then when you read the books, it's like you almost get a somewhat new experience because the show or movie will very likely leave things out.
It's funny how when you watch the show first, though, then everyone in the books looks like the people in the TV show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So true.
Like, you're like, wait.
That's an experience I've had too, where I read the book and like, I don't know, I'm thinking of something where they describe this woman with black hair, and then you watch the movie and then they're blonde, and then you go back and then you're almost like going back and forth in your head of like the original version of the character you visioned and then the movie version. I don't know. It's a weird experience.
Yeah. I think that the way that this is playing out right now, they're doing a pretty interesting take. Like, I think that it's frustrating some people who do know what, or like who really like the second book because of the way that was presented. But like it wouldn't really work the way that it does there, because like you can see that you have full visual, like there's some stuff in the book that's withheld, but it's because like they're leaving details out that they wouldn't be able to leave out in the TV show, because you're you'd have to watch this stuff play out, right? So I think so far it seems like they've gotten a pretty good idea. I think what I'm starting to, I think after this episode is where I'm like, okay, so they're actually splitting the second book across both seasons, 3 and 4. Like we won't complete that in this season. I don't think so.
Oh, yes, because I was scrolling Instagram and I saw this interview with Jessica Henwick on Backstage. So she plays Helen. And she said something about how she signed on to the show all so that she could do her final episode of season 4. So I don't know what that means, Pete. Maybe you know as a book reader, but she was very excited about wherever her character ends up and was like, I did this whole show to get to this ending. So, I mean, that's a tease if I've heard any to get to season 4, but yeah, that confirms it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Juliette.
Well,
I thought it was a pretty good, like, you know, a lot of people were upset with the idea that she would lose her memory. I thought that in this episode, it was a pretty good sign that in the very first scene, whenever I noticed that she was walking around her apartment differently, like when I saw the performance had shifted and it got me pumped up, I was like, yeah, this is Juliette's back. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was a pretty good sign of how familiar I am with the character, which is what I want out of a TV show. Right. So did you guys pick up on that right away? Like, we knew she wasn't taking the pills, but it was not for that long. So I thought, like, you know, when she says to the guy, Jerry, you're like, you asked me, and like, she's being super divisive, like, you know, she's making decisive right away. You know what I mean? So it's like, did you guys pick up on that right away?
Oh yeah, I love the parallel of that with the opening shot of her taking her medicine, but this time there's like a pep in her step, there's like an angle to her movement. She's like walking with her head forward, like swinging her arms as she walks, like she's giving orders. So within the first like 1 minute, I'm like, okay, Juliette is back. Like, which is, I mean, it speaks to Rebecca Ferguson, obviously, but I think Cris, you said this in your review on TikTok of like, this was a great plot device, the amnesia, because it really paid off really well. Like I missed her. Now she's back, and I don't know. I have no complaints about her losing her memory. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. I really noticed it too in the scene with her and Billing's wife. Just the way she wasn't afraid to push her, and she knew exactly like which buttons to push to get what she wanted out of her. And I think even when we saw Juliette in episode 1 of this season, she was like a little more hesitant, but then here she was not afraid to like push forward, not afraid of the reaction or any backlash from her. And that was very, very fearless in the Juliette that we know.
Yeah, it was hard to pin down in the performance where she had lost her memory, because you really didn't know what was inside her head, right? Like it was like she lost the personality, that was clear, but it was hard to say like what remained, you know, like it was hard to say like how much of Juliette's in there. It felt like nothing almost, and that's why the turnaround was really, really easy to spot and really satisfying, because like I said, that's what you want, right? You want to feel familiar with these characters. You want to miss them when they're gone. You want it to feel good when they come back. And yeah, I think when you think about it like that, it really like, since she doesn't have her memories back yet, but they're coming back, you know, like we know that we know we're going somewhere. So it's kind of a fun little journey, and not really all of what you might fear when you first hear that in the first place.
Yeah. And it was really nice how this linked to last week, because Martha talks to her about how stubborn the Juliette she knew was. And then you see that exactly when she pushes past everyone to go down the rope to get to the mines, and she doesn't care that everyone's yelling at her and telling her she can't do it. So I thought that was a nice, call back to last week, and her like really taking that to heart.
And that's one of the things I like about this character is that she has those things that, like, as Martha was laying out, that are both, that really do make her unique in a way that's useful a lot of times, you know, but at the same time, she's also impulsive. It also causes problems like that. The way the story's written, it's not like, oh, she can do no wrong. Like she definitely does. Her superpower does actually cause problems too. You know, like it's not something that just sets her apart from everyone else. It does, but at the same time, she's very human and she makes mistakes and it causes problems. So it's kind of fun to see that, like when she slides down on the rope and you're like, oh man, what is this? Yeah, this is cool. I'm glad she's doing that. And let's move the plot along. But like something bad may happen, you know, like you can't really be sure.
Yeah, it's kind of directly, like it made me think, you guys just talking about that, of, okay, it's one thing to sit down with someone who's lost their memory and give them their memories, whether they're true or not. We obviously know the lies are a little bit harder to stick than showing photos of like your childhood home or objects, but there's something really to be said about telling somebody who they are, not just what they know, but who they are. Because I really think Walker saying like, you always think you're right. You always think you have the right answer. You're stubborn, you're annoying. Like Juliette fell into that. And as us, we're just saying, oh, the old Juliette is coming back. But how much of that is really back, or how much of it is her faking it till she makes it because of what Walker told her about herself? So it's just this like cool kind of meta memory thing. And I wonder how, if at all, it will play out with Charlotte, because Charlotte is also seems to be kind of like stubborn and maybe hot-headed or determined to find the truth. And if she's just being shown like photos of her house by her brother, you know, will she be able to step back into that role?
Yeah, she needs someone that's not her brother to come tell her who she is, because he is useless. I was going to say one other thing about just another reason I did not mind Juliette and the amnesia is that I feel like things she's doing right now, she would be doing whether or not she had her memories or not. Like, even if Juliette had her memories, she would not know where Lucas Kyle went, right? She would still need to be basically taking the same steps to go find him. Obviously, this version of Juliette with no memories has to ask a few more questions and get more information to fill in the blanks. But I just feel like we'd kind of be doing the same thing regardless. So that's also another reason why I don't really mind the amnesia plot.
That's one thing you just made me think of that I found super interesting, was like she recognized Lucas Kyle right away. Like she's like, Lucas Kyle? Point. Yeah. Yes. When I don't even think she didn't look at like Shirley.
They don't have cameras really. Like the only thing that they really had as far as even understanding that cameras existed was that they had a photo for their work folder. You know what I mean? Like for their badge in the folder. Like that was the way it was described in the books, right? And so whenever they found out about the cameras, even in the show, right? Like that's a huge thing, because they didn't even realize such a technology existed. It's the same thing when they see the relics of the books, you know, like seeing outside, but it's also just recreations of that in color, and it's all like pretty amazing stuff, right? So it's not like she was sitting around looking at photos of Lucas Kyle, so that she would recognize him. That was her as someone who had lost her memory, seeing him and recognizing who he was.
It's like the feeling of him, the smell, the sound, like all those things. Because the way she looked at Walker and Shirley was like, who are you? And like she didn't know anyone. So
yeah, I guess we'll see what happens in 4. But to me, that was almost my confirmation that she's back and the pills have basically worn off. Though, of course, she's now in another, I don't know if she's in a coma, but she's sedated right now. So
and they want to kill her
when she wakes up.
If she wakes up. I mean, it's possible they're going to kill Rebecca Ferguson next episode, and it's going to be the Camille show afterwards. What do you think the possibilities are there?
That'd be crazy. That'd be like Game of Thrones. I think.
Oh my gosh.
My
It would actually,
prediction,
I think,
yeah,
like the show's already really popular, but if they did that, I think that a lot more people would come to check out what this silo thing's all about,
it would
right?
be it would be a ballsy move for sure. Like I would miss her, but damn. I
Yeah.
personally think like my hunch here with um with Juliette is that they'll want to kill her or someone will want to kill her, but I feel like I don't know if you guys clocked it, but I feel like the nurse kind of looked at Juliette with this pity and concern on her face, similar to how Jerry, her police guard, did. So I'm wondering if when the time comes when her life is in danger, that a couple people will fold and actually want to protect her. I don't know. I think someone's going to have to jailbreak her out of that room.
Yeah,
If they want to save her.
there's a few things that you guys have touched on that I wanted to come back to. First of all, since like when she was talking to, you mentioned when she was talking to Kat, how the personality was coming through. She does the thing where she sees the bandage and she sort of springs that trap, because I think she already knew those things or had inclinations when she walked in the door. So it makes me wonder, how much does she remember that she's not letting on, do you think?
I
Or do you
hadn't
just
thought of
think
her
that-
so much as being deceptive or them like leave. I feel like Juliette is so our like audience perspective character in a way that I'm not sure how much they have Juliette as a character know more than we know. So I kind of assume she was still like figuring those things out in real time. But now that you bring it up, I suppose it's possible. But I wasn't quite thinking that way.
So you think then whenever she saw Lucas, it just, because she did have the splinter of memory of Lucas when she went up and looked at the stars. I guess you could just say it that way, or you could explain it that way.
Yeah. I thought that was an in the moment thing, right? Because if you think about it, now it's been, I don't know how long it's been, maybe 24 hours, 48 hours, but the meds are wearing off and she's coming back and it's a life or death scenario.
It just makes me a little bit sad to think, because she was just a few hours or before, she was just looking Shirley right in the face and still didn't know who she was. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's kind of sad for Shirley.
It is kind of sad. I mean, Shirley annoys me, but I feel like in the flashbacks that Juliette is having, like she had the flashback when she was looking at the Cassiopeia constellation, but then we see as the audience a flash of her and Lucas together. But obviously she's not seeing that, right? Because she doesn't have the vision of like a camera on her. So if the constellation and the W made her think, like she's not necessarily like looking around in that moment. Maybe it's just a quick flash here and there and hard to put the pieces together. So I really think it's like teaching us about memory, like the smell of someone. I mean, Lucas probably like smells a lot different now than he did when he was like a polished nerd in the cafeteria. But just like the feeling of people, like, because that's what Sims was talking about. Like, it's not only she doesn't remember her dad, she doesn't remember the feeling of her dad. She doesn't remember what it's like to have a dad. So I don't know. I mean, maybe there's hope for them after all in their romance in the future with the speed at which she remembered him.
We need more romance on this show. I know people are so anti-romance in sci-fi shows, and I'm like, I think it's fun. I feel like Shirley and Knox doesn't count because like there was no will they, won't they. It just randomly happened one day. It's not fun in the way that Juliette and Lucas would be. But
I mean, I thought the George stuff was really good in the early seasons. You know what I mean? So like and there's a lot of, I think Juliette sort of has a type, you know what I mean? So like, I think that they could kind of go down that same road with Lucas.
Well, I think like one interesting, like I think someone put in my comments, or maybe, I don't know, it was like all the women in this show are like really not feminine and blah blah blah, and like it was some sort of complaint, but it's like this is like a utilitarian society where everyone has a job and a duty. Like this is not the society where women are like wearing sundresses and like picking flowers and being courted. Like it's very kind of communist in the way like everyone has a uniform, everyone has a job, everyone has a duty, like everyone's contributing to the silo. So I think like romance in a place like this in itself is very interesting, because even the decision to have kids is not really your decision. Even like a relationship is not your decision because it has to be sanctioned, right? Like there's like hidden relationships. So I find like the nature of all of that super interesting. I mean, you're not going to have like a dude picking you up at 7 to take you on a date. That's just like not how it works in the silo.
Yeah. Well, even needing sanctioned relationships, right? And then they're very involved in whether you can have kids or not, right? I mean, the whole very first pilot episode of Silo was Rashida Jones trying to have kids and them getting in the way. And God, that was a great pilot episode. That really was a great way to open the show. Speaking of a way to pull out the rug from your audience, but it's like
talk about because I mean, you think, oh well, she's going to be the star, but she only really existed. I mean, there's some flashbacks, but she only really existed for the first episode.
That's true. That's true. She left an impression.
She did.
But yeah, no, I think there should be some I don't have any problem with more relationship stuff in there. I think that's part of, like what I was saying with Juliette, that's part of her character. She doesn't let anyone in. So it's exciting when she will let someone in, just because that gives us a better idea of who she is and what's going on. And like I said, we feel invested, obviously. So of course, why not feel that great feeling that you feel when you're falling in love with someone. I think that as far as her dying, I think there's almost a near zero chance that's going to happen. One of the other things you brought up that I meant to ask last week, because I didn't touch on it in my video, but when I was going back and looking at things, I was like, the nurse is weird. Like the nurse has a decent amount of screen time for how inconsequential her role is up to that point in episode 2. Because it's like, she gives her the pills. That's an important job. But it just seemed like to me that there was a little bit of like, she had a face, you know what I mean? Like she wasn't just someone who was there to do a job. Like it seemed like that she was an actual character on the show. So I picked up on that in this episode too, where they're at the hospital. It was like, what's going on with her? Like, I mean, that's what I was left with. It's like, there's something going on with her. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I got kind of creepy vibes at first, like a Nurse Ratched situation, but
that was the initial. Yeah. She seemed like shady ass, scary nurse was what way I would describe it.
Yeah.
I got that feeling. I think her look, I don't know. In my opinion, I think her look changed. And I think hearing Jerry in the last episode being like, I don't like how we're holding you as a prisoner. Like he's been able to use the word prisoner by just his daily interactions with her. So I wonder if force feeding this poor woman medication that keeps her docile and tame and seeing what happens to her eventually turns the nurse as well.
Yeah, whether you grew up in the silo or not, that never really feels right, does it? Mm-hmm. Like, tricking someone into taking pills so that they become captive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think too, you have like a nurse, right? And then you had someone who was like essentially a security guard, and you're asking them to go against their whole ethos of what they've trained to do, right? Like he wants to keep someone safe, and he's being directed to do all these things that are directly against what his job should be. And I think that'll be the same thing with the nurse probably, right? Like it feels wrong if you've studied and trained to do something your whole life, and now you're going against like your whole ethos and what you feel is right. So
But look at Juliette's dad. He was like, I think that was like such a cool conflict with his character, because I think like tricking people, like giving them the hope that they were going to have kids when he knew like everything he was doing was a lie was so interesting. Like, I guess they didn't cover that in his Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like, do we think Jerry was actually being sincere whenever he said that he would give her space, and then he does that, and then I guess Camille doesn't mind because she has other ways to track her anyways?
Yeah, when I watched episode 2, I thought, okay, Jerry is just saying this to lower her guard. Like, they need to make her feel more comfortable. But then when she told him she wanted to walk the aisle alone, he's like, yep, sounds good. And I would think someone would be angry about that. Like, some kind of duty would be breached and somebody would be in trouble for like losing the mayor.
Maybe we'll see him get punished like at the beginning of the next episode.
He said that she would floss with his entrails or something like that. Like, I can't remember what the term was, but it was he was afraid of her, and then he wasn't. So like, I wasn't really sure. I don't know if wasn't sure if the implication is that was all something that they did just to make her feel like she was free because they could keep watching her. I feel like, just based on the performance, Jerry seems okay. Like, he seems like a stand-up guy that may be an ally, you know, but like, I feel like if he didn't get in trouble, that would be why. It was because it didn't really make a difference for the algorithm or Camille at the end of the day, you know?
Oh,
yeah.
I have a quick question. What did you all think about the fact that the outsiders were following Juliette, and they were like, who do we have on Nichols today? And then they seemed worried. They were like, she's asking the right questions. And that seemed odd to me, because if they're on her side, why wouldn't they want her asking the right questions? Unless they think that her digging into whatever they're doing, like if they're planning some second rebellion or of sorts, they're just worried that she'll expose it because she's not really herself yet, and they don't know if they can trust her yet. But I thought that was interesting that they seemed almost worried that she was on the right track with things.
I was wondering if they had, I was wondering if they hadn't written her off, and then so Kat was trying to tell them, no, actually, she's coming back. You know, like because of the way she says it is that she's saying like she might not be her old self, but she's still sharp or something along those lines.
Yeah, to me, like, the outsiders feel like they have a singular focus, which is to get outside. Like, no matter, even if Juliette came in. The name
does a lot of work there.
Yeah, it really does. Like, even when they saw her say, hey, it's not safe, don't go outside, they're like, nah, it's fine. Like, let's ignore that. So it's like, I think for me, just them being like, oh, she's on the right track, or we're watching her, is because they do hope she will remember. And I mean, them using the word hunting to talk about them tracking Lucas Kyle, like, we've hunted him for this time. It's a little intense for me. So it's like, I think everyone is a means to an end for them, and their end is to get outside.
What? Yeah, and like I said, she's coming back, but she still cannot really give them an explanation. And I thought it was one of the better details was that Sandy remembered that was not her handwriting. That said, it's not safe to go outside just because she worked for her. That's all you need, like, because they want to believe that so badly. They want to believe so badly that going outside will set them free, that all they need is anything that backs that up. And they're certainly diluted a little bit, right?
There's a lot of confirmation bias going on there with that crew. Yeah. I just don't know how organized they are. I'm very curious about that, because it's like they're trying to break into IT. They're trying to do all of these things. They're trying to spread like propaganda and information. So I'm curious to know like how big of an issue they're going to be.
What did you guys think about the gassing, the extermination, fumigation?
In what way? Like the way Camille chose to do it so suddenly?
Yeah, I thought it was really funny that whenever she came out and she told her plan to her security head, she was like, is that code for something else?
Yeah.
Like, you're not serious, are you?
Yeah,
it was
that
kind of extreme,
intense.
right? It was kind of extreme. Like the explanation was that Lucas might be in there. So
yeah, I think it's just that idea. I mean, I can't think of an example. I feel like I've done that in my own life, right? Where just the minute you find out about something and it's even a possibility, you think it could happen at any moment, even though he's been doing this for 3 months. So clearly you probably had an hour to get people out, maybe 24 hours to get people out, right? Like it hasn't happened already, but I think it was just the way that the algorithm framed it is so immediate. Like the second he makes contact with the silo, we're putting that gas in there and you're done. And there'll be no discussion, ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, it was interesting to me to see the algorithm be like, "Ooh, nice work there. Like quick thinking, good job." Like it's the algorithm seemed like not impressed with her, but like curious about Camille in 2 instances in this episode. So I was expecting the episode to end with her having more blood on her hands for sure. I think we've talked about that. But you're right. It's like if this was a viable solution, why wasn't this a coordinated attack before? But I think it just shows how like Camille is willing to get her hands dirty. Like her motivations are really clear at this point, and maybe to make it more believable that she would go like strangle Juliette or something.
yeah, the show, I mean, this is season 3, right? Like the show, this is a part of the show is the every once in a while they throw in a little action, like a sequence that will activate that part of it's one of the tools that's in their toolboxes that's not really my favorite. Let's say it that way. You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily like when they go this way. I know why they do it though. And as far as it goes, like it was pretty intense, right?
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, what's going to happen here? And it looked like the actual visuals of people spraying the gas and then it sort of like hanging in the air as she was trying to fight through it and all that. I did interpret the guy attacking her as someone just being completely selfish. So like, I thought that was kind of fun too. You know what I mean? It's just like, she's trying to help save his life and be the good Samaritan. And he's like, yeah, fuck that. I'm going to just punch you. You're a woman. You're a little bit smaller than me. So I'm going to throw you against the wall.
Brutal.
And take this gas mask.
She's like, we'll switch off. He's like, nah, no, we won't. Like, yeah, I'm taking this.
She's too good of a person.
Switch this off. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I thought that was surprising in a good way.
Yeah. I forgot about the people projectile vomiting. I was like, that is more bodily fluids than we're used to on this show, right? It's not extremely bloody or anything in that way, but
I got strong feelings. I think you covered it, Pete, of like the expanse and like the proto molecule moment, like when everyone just starts like vomiting everywhere. That was like where my head immediately went. It's like my head canon of all the shows and TV shows I like, was just, okay, this is like, people are going to start like their faces are going to melt off or something. We're going to see some really like brutal, painful deaths, but I don't know. Maybe there will be more damage. Like maybe more people will succumb to their injuries.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it looks like Juliette is in a position, like, I don't know if she took it the worst, but I mean, the implication was that there were going to be a lot of people who would have trouble getting away from this gas. And obviously, if they've been working in the mines for a period of time, they might be like their respiratory systems might be compromised, and more people might die. But this comment here from Mysterious Cryptic, talks about the thing that I mentioned in my video about the first time we hear him give her ultimatum, like an ultimatum or an idea about like, you have to do this thing because it's going to save the lives of the people in the silo. The population was 9913, and then at the end of the episode, when he says it again, or it says it again, I guess the algorithm, it's 9,912. I believe Orla was dead. I feel like she's probably dumped there, so I feel like that might be the only death, like we've touched on a couple of times.
Yeah, and it's like
the other
interpretation. Yeah, go ahead.
The other interpretation would be that they just kind of didn't factor the numbers of whatever happened down there, and it was just saying 9913 will become 9912 once you kill Juliette in her hospital room.
True.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I was wondering, like, okay, I understand the algorithm is like all knowing with like cameras everywhere and all that, but do they really have like a live counter of people's vital signs? Because if so, then I would think they would be able to track them pretty easily, and it doesn't seem like they have trackers on people. So I guess your explanation there of like, it will be this will be how many people you have to take care of, that would make more sense to me.
Yeah, because I do think Camille should have blood on her hands, because I just think that makes the story more interesting, right? Like if her actions did directly kill X many people. So it seems too convenient that these mines are supposed to be so big and everyone was that close to the entrance to get out.
Yeah.
Like that just does seem unbelievable to me.
Yeah, or it's just like I think Pete was saying, like the casualties of it, or not the casualties, but the injuries you'll have. Like people are clearly not going to be able to go to work the next day if they're technically poisoned. But yeah, I'm curious to see how the people react to such a thing, because, okay, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this. One thing that didn't make sense to me after all of that is the algorithm saying, hey, nice job, Camille. Your quick thinking really paid off here. Now we have a perfect excuse to get rid of Juliette. Like we can frame it as heroism and bravery, and then everyone will be calm and unified after that. But to me, I'm like, I still think there are a lot of problems on their hands that may require either safeguard or memory. Like Juliette dying doesn't change the outsiders. Juliette dying doesn't change that Lucas Kyle is now out and about running around. Juliette dying doesn't change the fact that they kind of poisoned their own people. So I'm like, is that really like a convenient thing right now, and will avoid the memory drug? Like it really I didn't buy that. I'm curious to hear what you guys thought.
I took it as the main issue with Juliette is purely the fact that she knows about the existence of other silos, as in it doesn't mean that there's not going to be problems in their silo right now, but it's just that very specific piece of information really can't get out. And I think that's why they're so focused on her. And then I don't know if they know that Lucas Kyle knows, right? They obviously, he's on the run and he's considered a fugitive, so they know he knows something important, but I'm not sure if they know exactly what he knows. So I think that's also why he's like the other kind of wild card here, but that's my interpretation. Like the outsiders are maybe something that have cropped up in this silo, I'm sure, at various points, like even with like the Flame Keepers in season 1. So like maybe they would deal with them the same way, where they drug them like they did that woman where she was, seeing the beach in that hospital room for so many years. I think they have different tactics to deal with other people.
So that's true.
That's where my brain's at.
Sorry, I'm trying to look at the comments here. It seems like people are being lame.
Seeing no book spoilers. Yeah.
No
book spoilers, guys.
one thing about what you were saying there was that the algorithm should know. I mean, the algorithm knows that Lucas was Bernard's shadow, and had access to all that information. We saw Lucas interact with the algorithm before he went down to the digger void and
Right.
found the door.
Right.
Yeah. So like Lucas is a problem, but I think with Juliette, the problem is that she went outside and she came back. And
Yeah.
if she was dead, then no one can really talk to her about that. And that idea kind of will lose its importance over time. She can be a hero of the silo. That's the way that they're trying to frame it, right? Those young girls, they think that she went outside and returned to save them from killing themselves. Like that's sort of the narrative, right? That they were in rebellion, they were destroying their own silo, and then Juliette showed up on the hill. Everyone did a little bit of fist pumping and got excited, and the rebellion came to an end. So
yeah, it's kind of like that graph that the algorithm showed in the last episode, like the graph of the calmness she's able to bring people versus like her utility versus the type of problem she's caused, and like that crossover is going to be dangerous. And before, they didn't have a good way to get rid of her, because if you get rid of this person that people worship, that could cause more problems than the solution of actually killing them. And now with the rat poison situation that she ran into, because she's heroic and amazing, it's like the perfect time for her to die, because they have what they got what they needed out of her. And now her not believing the narrative and her not taking the medicine and starting to ask questions is now becoming a problem.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, she's kind of reminding me of like Katniss and Katniss from the Hunger Games, right? Where she's kind of just becoming this symbol, and they want to control like what she looks like and what she means.
Yeah, like she's a problem,
society.
she's a threat, and they try to make her one thing, and she can't be contained.
Let's see.
So if we're getting, I guess we're getting towards the end of what I had in notes. Did either of you have something that either came up when you were watching or while we were having this conversation that you want to dig into before we start to think about wrapping it up?
So one thing I thought about that I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts in the, I'm not even reading the chat. Normally I'm such a chat reader, but you guys you're scaring me in there. So just stop spoiling. But one thing that
I think I got rid of what caused the problem. But,
okay. Don't make me cry, guys. But yeah, the thing I was curious about is what Helen and Daniel heard on there. And like part of what I took from that, the horror of whatever they heard, will that push Daniel to maybe align himself with Dr. Cernkovich? Because like Helen's big thing is like, well, this psychologist, like he can't play God or whatever. But it's like, if you hear the trauma that somebody goes through, like the dying calls of their squad mates and horror and terror, like, would that make you be like, you know what, maybe it's a good thing that you're taking away these horrific moments of battle and PTSD from these veterans? And like maybe he had a realization there, because he said, I need to show this to like the people I work for. Like, yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that, because we haven't tapped into that as much.
Ooh.
It's an interesting point. Yeah.
That scares me a little bit now that you mention it, right? Because I think we want him to be on our side and be the hero, because we all sympathize with Charlotte. But we've also talked about how he seems a little naive at points. And it seems like he hasn't really connected like the government with the conspiracy that she was part of, which seems maybe silly, as in, as in he's like he has to go show them the tape, and he's not, but I think he's thinking maybe it's an outside party that was part of this mission, instead of like thinking like, hey, it's like probably the people that you work with, considering that they're like on the Iran committee, and she was part of this mission. So I don't know. I would assume that it was like a government conspiracy, but maybe his brain isn't there yet. I'm a little confused by what his thought process is currently.
Yeah, the thing about obviously we're not supposed to know. We're just supposed to know that they hear something horrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an interesting point about how that could sway his thinking one way or the other. Like, if it is truly horrific, would he start to become more okay with them wiping her memory, which is not what, I mean, like I said last week when we talked about it, like, it's like, if you're describing this process to me, I'm like, stop now, like, this is horrific. Please do not do that to my loved one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want them to deal with, I don't want them to be saddled with trauma for the rest of their life. But in most cases, in a clinical environment, if you deal with trauma and work your way through it, that's going to be a more positive outcome than just forgetting everything you were and then having us put you back together how we want you to be, kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of really big red flags. But yes, like, if that could actually move him in that direction, and couldn't it?
Yeah, I think like talking to, who is it, Rudy's dad, and I don't know, maybe the other vets, and then hearing it, being like, she is the last living person who experienced this, like not only heard this communications, but experienced it. Maybe some things are better left forgotten. That was my thought there. But now the communication is seemingly gone. It's interesting to me, because I think Helen and Daniel they do have chemistry, but they might splinter in terms of what side they're fighting for. Because I think if Helen got the tapes, like, would she want to leak it to the press? Would she want to air those secrets, versus like, would Daniel want to take it to the people in government that he trusts, or would he actually want to keep it a secret? So I'm just really, I know we don't know enough now, but I'm just curious to see how all of this plays out. I really hope we get more of the before times in episode 4.
Yeah, when you bring that up, it reminds me that it was the literal turning point in their thing, is that he says, I need to get the tape to give it to the people I work for.
Yeah. And then they turned around. And then even said, he's like, I think he said, like, not the shadowy people that like you and my sister have been like messing around with. So I'm like, okay, is that the president? Is that your
gray?
It
was gray. I was going to ask you who you thought like he was talking about, because it's not, what he says is, it's not the people that he goes and asks for money, like the donors.
Yeah.
Which was implied earlier, in the early interaction. So I took that as him saying that he works for like Senator Thurman. Did that make sense? Does that make sense? Like, I don't know that you're 100% like, she knows what he's talking about, but I don't know that it was 100% effective in conveying who he was talking about.
Yeah, because I'm like, are the people he works for like, his constituents, or does he have? It seems like Helen doesn't really
feel
have
like
faith
he's
in
saying,
the government.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit. It's unclear. I mean, I guess I kind of know more and have an idea based on that, but like someone more consequential is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like the real people in power kind of thing.
Yeah.
The chat is all saying the constituents. So, but I also was back and forth. Like, I thought he literally meant like Senator Thurman, like the people that he's on.
Yeah, no,
but again, like I said, that would be very, very naive. So
yeah, that makes sense. I think I could say I stand corrected on that.
Because Thurman's daughter is his like aide that he's walking around with all the time, or not his aide, but like his person, right? That other woman.
The daughter works for Thurman. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's the one who is like in the coffee shop with Helen
Mhm.
and Daniel, who like, okay,
Yes,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Because it again, like we've talked about Daniel being kind of green and not knowing how things work and, being new to all of this. So, I mean, he really does feel like, okay, well, these are my friends. These are my people. And again, I think it's Helen who's there to help him ask the hard questions. Like, okay, do you really think this dirty bomb, like, or the US government and all the implications of that? But I don't know. I don't know how at this point he thinks like the US isn't involved in things, or that it could be within the realm of possibility that they've like done something bad, or at least like lied.
Yeah, it's the chat is actually on the right path here of what they were trying to convey on that scene. What he's saying, there needs to be some accountability. I would say that the show has showed us by having this shadowy guy be everywhere, kind of coordinating things, like getting Helen fired and everything else, being at the funeral, that's not going to work out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that's decent. I like the way that's playing out then, because what that means at the end of the episode is that without evidence, they have nothing against these people, and there's not, like, basically they're in a situation where, like I said, it felt that way, that nothing really happened, because everything they discovered, it gave them information, but it's nothing that they can use.
Yeah. Yeah. So at the end of the day, even though we didn't move forward, it does feel maybe necessary to just show in real time, like, how many steps ahead they are and why it's almost impossible to beat these people at their own game.
Yeah. And I did want to change the subject a little bit to address this question that was asked here. Michael Slanger is saying, is anyone else bummed out by the whole gray goo thing? It feels like the show is jumping the shark a bit, or at least leaving hard sci-fi territory. This is something that I can't really comment on at all, because I know what it is. What do you guys think? Does this seem like, if the implication is that they're leaving hard sci-fi territory, then that means that this is something magical? So did you guys think of it as magical whenever you watched that scene? I think we said alien. I think the word alien came out last episode.
I thought aliens, because of like, I was paying extra attention to the intro sequence that now has like a brass model of the solar system, and it felt like we were getting outside of the silo, outside of society, into space. So that was my first thought, is like, oh my God, there's aliens, and aliens came and took over, and aliens are the ones watching the silos. That would be a huge leap. Like, I totally believe that that's probably not the case, and everyone in my comments was like, no. But we've seen shows, like, not to spoil anything, but we've seen shows like Paradise take big leaps into other territory, where we're like, first we're here, now we're here, now we're in here, and we're all kind of rolling with it. So I've seen it work. But now I think it's just some sort of weird, either like technology advanced thing that is hidden, and it's still very enigmatic to me.
Yeah, it didn't feel out of place in the story in terms of the tone or the genre. I felt like maybe it was man-made material gone wrong, right? Like people making weapons for war, or some science lab experiment goes wrong and they accidentally create this substance, whatever, whether it's man-made or environmental. It just felt something more like that. And I mean, if anything, I think just the whole memory plot to begin with already kind of brings this show into something I don't know, into something like a little less grounded, as in like when you first start the show in season 1, the first like 5-6 episodes are all basically just like a murder mystery inside of a silo. Like there really is nothing very sci-fi-esque in the first, in the majority of season 1, actually. So even just introducing the memory plot almost brings the show from dystopian into sci-fi for me. So this just kind of feels like the same sort of genre and tone as the memory plot.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I think we're getting into like territory or technology that we might not fully understand. So I'm cool with I'm riding that wave. Like, do we even have a drug that can make people forget things? Like, I don't think so, but that's a thing as well.
Yeah, and especially to like that extent, like I always thought it was interesting. Like that almost felt a little like magical to me, not in the sense that normally if you're trying to remove people's memories, you might think it would be something a little bit more like Severance-y, where they have to get into your head and either put chips in or something like that. But instead it's very wishy-washy, like, oh, you have a pill or it's in the water. And it's like, okay, sure. I don't really get how that works on a scientific level, but I'm just going to roll with it because it's a fun sci-fi show and I don't care.
Yeah. Like, I guess the chat saying we can do that. Like, I don't know. Yeah, we can make people forget. We can give people like lobotomies and change things, but I guess, yeah.
The ice pick lobotomy was like a real thing that was done to like a lot of people in the United States,
which is crazy. Like, let's just chop into someone's brain. See what
happens.
Like,
are your loved ones really kind of annoying to you? Well, I can bring them here and I'll stick this ice pick up inside their nose and they'll be completely passive forever.
Crazy work.
Thank God we were, sometimes I'm like, you know what, things are bad now, but at least I wasn't born 50 years ago.
Like at least no one's at least your family's not doing an intervention where they take you to the ice pick lobotomy festival. And
God. I think the way I behaved as a teenager, like that could have been an option. So I'm really glad I made it out alive.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so Cris, did you have anything that you wanted to go into?
I think we covered most of what I wanted to cover. I mean, honestly, just from more of like a analyzing from a TV perspective, I did just want to shout out Alexandria Riley, who plays Camille. Like, I just think she was really excellent in this episode, acting wise. Like, I thought her scene with Common, like she was really like eating up the scenery there, and I appreciated that. And I found out that she was Welsh this week, and I had no idea. So she's doing a really good American accent. So yeah,
wow,
just wanted to.
That's so cool,
right? I was like, I had no idea she's doing like a Matthew Rhys level American accent on this show.
Very cool.
But yeah, I think we covered everything theory-wise. I'm excited for episode 4.
That's so funny because, like, obviously, like a Welsh accent is really crazy. Like when you hear people that without, like, obviously, most of the people you just mentioned are doing a fantastic job of not showing any part of their accent whenever they're in their most popular roles, but like. It really is. It's really wild to think about how different things sound through that accent compared to how their characters talk on screen.
Yeah, it's like it feels like a much further jump than just
regular old
British or or Australian or something.
Yeah,
I'm just curious. This is a quick one. I'm just curious, like. Do you guys like Common as Robert Sims? Because I didn't know there was so much hate for him and like his acting. Does that get in the way of your viewing experience? Or are you Are you riding with Common / Sims?
You go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think he's the weak link in the main characters as far as performance is concerned. He doesn't have a lot of. There's just not. I just think that like he's fine in certain situations. He's actually good in a lot of situations, but I feel like the kind of performance he has is it doesn't lend itself to having those different gears. Like he doesn't shift gears as well as the other characters, actors.
Yeah, it doesn't completely bother me because I think he's fine in doing what he needs to do for this particular role. Like, I think he fits Sims and who he is pretty well. It's just, could someone else go into this role and give a more nuanced performance and probably add more layers and dimensionality? Yes. And so it probably could be a little bit more interesting of a character, but I do think he's doing like fine. It doesn't like take me out of it necessarily. But I agree. I don't think he's like the strongest actor here, but he's fine enough, you know. I mean, I hate to sound like,
Yeah. I mean, I think objectively there's it's like that in every TV show too. It's not to single him out as an individual, but like he's sometimes whenever the cast has really bright spots, that makes it harder on the secondary characters, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's sort of the situation we're at. I mean, like he was playing opposite Tim Robbins and Rebecca Ferguson, you know what I mean? Like those are not normal run-of-the-mill TV actor, like that you would normally think of. Like they're both like on a different kind of level as far as that goes. Who wants to see more of Solo?
Definitely.
I would like to. That's another actor that I like.
Steve Zahn is so good. Yeah, he was perfect for the show.
He crushed it. I mean, he made Juliette just like the way he made her go diving to give her, like the way he kind of blackmailed her like that was so funny. But I loved their relationship in season 2. Like I think we all agree like season 2 was not a very strong, like it wasn't the strongest season overall, but I think that was something cool we got to experience. So I would love to see more of him. I'm just really curious on how he does outside of his safe little nest, because that man has some trauma. So
yeah, and that's one of the things that's I find interesting about the character is that it's really sad and difficult for him that he was alone for so long, but that also reintegration after you've been alone for so long, then it's kind of hard to be around other people, even though that's what you need to do, right? So that's I like that. It's it's,
I feel like a mom with a kid. I'm like, I hope everyone's being nice to him over there.
I feel like he probably has more in common with the kids than the teenagers, because the adults are not really adults. They're like teenage parents pretty much. And I feel like he maturity wise like has more in common with the kids.
Yeah. Oh, Hope. I was like, I keep calling her Eater. I was like, what's Eater's real name? But
I know. Someone in the comments was like, she has a name.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I think Hope was sweet. So hopefully they're making friends, having a nice time together.
They had way too much fun saying Eater, like to put her down. Like you definitely wanted to see them get some comeuppance for sure.
I know. This poor girl.
We're gonna wrap it up. We mentioned Bernard. We mentioned Tim Robbins. Not really anything. Like we were kind of talking about that last week. Is he around or is he not around? Nothing to really indicate one way or the other here. I don't think.
It's
No.
it's looking less likely for me that he will come back,
Yeah.
but we'll
Yeah.
see.
It's weird. It's a little bit weird that haven't seen Carla. We haven't seen Carla, right?
No, we
Yeah.
haven't.
We've seen her
I don't-
shadow. We've seen her email Paul Billings.
Yeah, and they are making sure to mention her a lot. Like they always say, like McLean's shadow, to make sure you like don't forget her name in that character. So I wonder what she.
It might just be,
up to.
yeah. It
Or is
might
the
just
actor
be-
filming something? Like was she
That's
just
what I
not
was gonna
available?
say. It's probably something that they just had to deal with because the actor wasn't available or something. But I thought it was really funny when I watched the first episode that we didn't see Walker, because Walker is, pretty central to the story, at least in the mechanical side of things. And I figured, well, yeah, that's probably for sure a situation where you're not going to bring her in just to show her face in the, if you don't have to. But the Carla thing it feels more conspicuous, I mean, because like Orla was her shadow. Like we never saw Supply before. Now we've seen Supply, but yet Carla is not there. So
Yeah, I think they kind of made a big deal with the head of mining to be like, why isn't the head of supply here? Why did she send her shadow? Like that was really rude, and he felt slighted by it. So I feel like yeah, you're right. They are calling a lot of attention to it.
Yeah. I hope we get a little bit more detail next week, because it's clear something is going on with mining, but I feel like we still don't have quite enough pieces to really draw together a coherent theory. Like I'd love it just a few more nuggets so we can really like try to flesh something out here. But it seems like it's going to be big, right? I mean, every episode there is some drop about Orla, mining, supply, people stealing things. It's just hard to see what the threat is yet.
Yeah, and I don't know for sure. Like that's not something that you could base off of reading the books or whatever. But like I feel like you're going to get what you want. Like I have a feeling that there's going to be quite a bit of that in Silo 18 going forward, because like you said, it's the thing that they set up. Maybe Juliette will get out of the hospital and go to the mines to hide out.
Yeah, because I feel like if she is gonna escape and they are going to try to kill her, like she'll have to go hide somewhere, and I don't think it can just like be mechanical.
Well, I think the Patrick Kennedy, the Outsiders, they kind of set that up too, that they know how to go places.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was funny when they found Lucas and they were like, "Wow, this is a really shitty hiding place."
I love that part, because I feel like Lucas is not good at being like a rebel. I don't know. He's not a rebel. He's a nerd. He's smart. He's a genius. He's like a computer programmer. So I love how he's like, okay, you're not just this like invincible badass. And who's like also a really good spy or hider.
Yeah, because I thought it, obviously it was super convenient for him to be there to save Juliette whenever you needed, but at the same time, they did kind of make it like, oh yeah, well, there's a real chance that he just got lucky that he was able to hide out for that period of time. Like, there's no like we kind of want to give him this idea that he's digging to the other silo or whatever, but that's not really what they're showing on the screen necessarily. Right. Like he's not an action hero. You know what I mean? Like he is just what he's been presented as, which is good.
And it's great because Juliette is an action hero. So
yeah, so that
she can save him.
I do like the character though, and I do like the performance as well. Like, and the chemistry is good.
Yeah, he has like a nice. I don't know. We haven't even seen that much of him necessarily, but he just has a really nice, warm vibe, and they kind of gave him this sarcastic humor that comes through. So, yeah, I'm just excited to see more of him and like actually spend more time with him this season.
Yeah, I was wondering how they were going to do that, because with his story is one of the big things that they have changed pretty significantly. And with Juliette being like, I wonder, because like Juliette, that was her thing, was finding out what happened to George. And she really has this real, still this real unresolved, kind of love for him because he's gone, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think we touched on this last week, so no reason to go all the way back through it again, but it's that the whole thing there is pretty complicated and in the right kinds of ways. So I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys again for coming out. I thank everyone in the chat, for at least the ones who weren't trying to book spoiler. The rest of you, well, that's just like, it's really like, I mean, Gab, you probably understand this. I'm sure probably TikTok's the same way, but like, I don't have any personal experience with it, but like, I don't really understand the person who tries to bomb the comments with the spoilers. Like, I really don't understand the what you get from that. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to, all of this information is readily available from a wiki, and that you can read in a couple of minutes. Like, it's not esoteric information, right? You're not delivering something. You're just trying to ruin it for other people. Like, that's like, all there is. Like, even if you don't know that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Even if you aren't consciously doing that, like, that's what you're trying to do. That's the truth of it. So it's like, yeah. It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
I guess like that's the reason why maybe I will always read the book first, because I don't want them to be able to tell me what's going on.
At least I think I at least think the Silo fandom, like from what it seems to me, most Silo watchers are not book readers, versus like House of the Dragon. If I speculate on something on like my Instagram, people will be like, oh my God, no, did you read the books? It happens, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, if I had read the books, I wouldn't have posted that speculation. Like, I'm having fun, like, guessing what's going to happen next.
Yeah. House of the Dragon's impossible. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I know most things that happen just from scrolling through Twitter on any random Sunday.
Yeah.
But Silo's been good. Like, Silo, I feel like people are generally respectful, and like, I go on the Reddit a lot, but they have the, book spoiler forum after each episode, and then, the one for book people. So I think that keeps things pretty separate. So everyone stay chill and respectful, because I think it's really fun when we can all convene together and theorize. So
yeah, if not, we will bring the vitamin D plus, and we'll make everything all right. I think we lost Gab there.
Yeah.
Okay. She's still with us. She'll be back in a second. But yeah, I think you're right. Like, in general, it's a much better crowd that surrounds Silo. House of the Dragon, I was talking to someone about it yesterday, who's like really, really like in the middle of all, like, pretty connected all the way through with what goes on in that fandom and stuff. And they said like the book, because like the book in that case is not like, this is Silo is 3 novels of, a lot of it's a full story. Like, House of the Dragon is based on a short bit of false history. You know what I mean? So it's like what the person I was talking to yesterday said kind of is sort of like the Bible, right? Because it's the way people talk about it is so much of what they put into their own thoughts about what's on there, because there's not a lot there.
Yeah.
So it's
wait.
I was
gonna say, I know we're. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna change the topic based on someone asking something in the chat.
Go ahead.
They were like, have you discussed how the algorithm told Camille about the safeguard, but they never told Bernard? And that was like a big reason why he was gonna go outside.
Yeah.
So that is interesting that they are sort of changing the rules and going a little rogue, both in their society, right? In terms of like, now we have this council and we're mixing all these departments in ways that we never did before. Which, oh, you know what? Last week we talked about that and we were like, oh, they're probably fine with like mixing all these departments because they're going to do the vitamin D in the water supply regardless, point blank. But that does not seem to be the case. Like they seem to be actually looking for solutions to not do the water supply. So that actually kind of reopens up that question of like, why are they going so rogue and why is that kind of okay now? And like, is that going to maybe lead them closer to a safeguarded event because they are sort of breaking these established rules of like creating elevators with like the pulleys and intermingling the departments and now we're telling our shadow Camille or our head of IT Camille that there is a safeguard, which is something that we've never done before, right?
Yeah, I think that part of that is because of the way she got the job. Like it was sort of inevitable that they had to do that. As far as the vitamin D pluses, when you were talking about that, I was thinking, yeah. But then I was thinking, like, has the algorithm changed its mind about vitamin D plus? Because it kind of keeps saying, like, yeah, just put that stuff in the water and let's get it done with.
I think
Camille has definitely tried to stop it for a lot of the obvious reasons, but I don't know that the algorithm has led up on the idea that that's the way to go.
I think like the putting vitamin D in the water is like something a human physically present in the silo has to do. And it's a hard sell. Like it's a very hard sell. Like even Salvador Quinn, like left a love letter behind and code behind because he even couldn't get over the fact that people were going to forget, but he ultimately decided it was the best decision to make everybody forget. And like, that's why he was revered. That's why Bernard called him a hero. So I think it's like, they're going to trigger the safeguard if they think shit has hit the fan too much, because the thing about the vitamin D is like it almost has to be doled out in a time of relative calm because it takes time. So it's like if they're minutes away from people blasting a bridge or a door, like going crazy, that's not enough time for the vitamin D to work. So I think it's like, you know, especially if you have a kid or a family, it's a harder sell. I think it's like a hard sell for anyone to do it. And it's not something they can just pump into the air.
Like Bernard could have done it because he didn't have anyone that he cared about out there. But like with Camille being the only person that they could bring in, and it makes you wonder, you know, I mean, because I think one of you guys brought that up last, like, are the silos different? Like, what was it? It was sort of like, are they testing something? You know what I mean? Are they doing different experiments?
Yes.
You know, like it does make you kind of wonder, because there would be, if you're only just trying to get them, if you're only trying to have someone come in there that would wipe everyone's memories for you, then there would be better choices than Camille in that situation, right?
Yeah.
Like she might be good at lying, but is she really good at wiping her son and husband's memories? You know, who knows? It seems like it would be a tough sell to a mother.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should leave it there. Yeah. Thanks again,
Great
everyone. It was fun. I was a little bit concerned about the way that it was left, the episode was left, because it feels like with that little bit of cliffhanger with Juliette, that next week we're going to get a lot, like I said, like we all agreed, she's not going to probably die. So things are going to change pretty quickly, you know, when we actually see the next episode. But still a fun conversation, and I think we'll be back again next week, but I gotta check everything out. But for everyone who's here watching, I'll let you know if we can do it again, and if not, either way, thanks for coming out. We'll see you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.